Okay, so let's move on here to the node editor and select our lantern here. And what I like to do is switch, activate the select my plane, activate the particles, show the lamps, and let's activate the rendering mode so we can see what's going on. What I'm gonna do again is select this thing here. Actually, I want to select this part. Okay, I don't know. And I'm gonna pick a small portion of the image so we have a faster rendering. As you can see now, we can tweak our candle flame to make it maybe 250, 500, and also we're gonna take on the paper and make it a little bit more translucent by using a color ramp. Yes, that's fine. Okay, I think it's really cool now. More in the reddish subsurface here. More of a realistic look. Sorry. And actually the candle is well positioned. So what we're gonna do now is again give it a test render and see how it does look like with these tweakings here. 3. So let's do this. So here is how it does look like actually, and you can see that we have a better light interaction, but as you can see here we have some errors because of the light being how can we say that, too close to the top. And actually what I'm gonna do is two things. I'm gonna add a glare node so we can give it this shiny light effect, and I'm gonna add a little bit of transparency to our paper here so we have a more visible shining. So again, go back to here, paper, and I'm gonna switch to the node editor here, and I'm gonna add a transparent ESTF along with a mixed shader, and let's take a look at it. Just a little bit, not too much. Okay, but this is fine. And then I'm gonna switch here to the render layers and search for glare. Put the image there, and here there's a backdrop. And now we can play with the threshold. You can see, yeah. And actually, the transparency I've added is to have more of this candle here appearing inside the Japanese lamp. So again, I'm gonna give it a new test render. So here is the result we are having now, and as you can see, it's not that good. Also, the denoiser here is making some errors, so I need to fix that later on. But the main problem is that our paper here is not that translucent, and it doesn't let too much of light to come out. So we need again to tweak our paper material to make it a bit better. So I'm gonna remove this thing here, remove the subsurface scattering, add to the translucent this one here, and maybe what I'm gonna do is switch the mix shader here between the principal VSDF and the translucent with the node shader. And that would actually look better, maybe. Let's see. Add shader. Yeah, definitely better. Okay, so let's give it another test render and see how it does look like. That is how it does look right now, and it's really better. I just disabled the denoiser here for the transmission because it caused too much of errors, and it wasn't that accurate. So it gave it a blacky look that was not that good. But I'm using a really low sampling here in order to have fast renderings. So by getting this to a higher number, this noise would completely disappear. So for now, I think it's looking pretty much good, and I'm really satisfied with the look of it. But as you can see, we don't have any mood. It's really flatty, not that interesting. So what I'm gonna do is go to the film and choose transparent, so we don't have this background that's rendered, and also go to the world settings here and switch to the node editor and go to world here. And as you can see here, we have our HDRI along with the background node here. And what I want to do is add a hue saturation node. And as you can see, if I play with the saturation, you can see that I can add, change the hue, the saturation, etc. So I'm gonna put the saturation higher and try to find a good looking mood. I don't want too much of light also. Yeah, I think 0.6 is fine. Higher saturation. It's looking nice to me. Yes, I'm just taking a look at what we can improve on this. And what I will do is actually maybe add a sun lamp here, sun lamp, and give it a orangey, pretty much intense orange color. I'm trying something. I'm not that sure of what I'm doing, but just to see how 500. Yeah, and I think that's adding a lot more to the scene with the sun here. I'm gonna take the size really up, like to 5, and then get the emission to 0.2, 1. I think I'm gonna go with this for now. Yeah, 0.05, and it's just to add a little bit of color tint, if I could call it so, to the image. And now I'm gonna again give the test render and see how it does look like actually when we have all of our things applied. And another thing is that we're gonna stay with a no background here, because we're gonna post process it later on GIMP. So for now I'm gonna render it as a transparent background image. So let's give it a test. And as you can see here, by adding this color mood here, we've literally changed the ambience and the result of our image. Actually, the color of the mist is not that accurate, so I'm gonna just show you the bare raw render. And as you can see, it looks pretty more pleasing. We really feel like it's a sunset scene. So it's looking nice in my opinion. And then I'm gonna just change this color here to something near what we have. Don't want too much of a acceleration and low value maybe. Yeah, and it's looking fine. So I think it's okay for now. And the last thing I want to add and try also is adding some volume scatter at the surface level to give it more depth. So let's do this by going in our 3D view here, and then I don't know what's gonna be the result, as in the previous versions of Blender I used to create the original image. The volumetrics were not working with cycles yet. So I'm gonna give it a try and see how it's gonna look like. Okay, that's fine. Give the test render here. A bit more, bring it there. Okay, something like something like so. Add new material, volume scatter, plug it, and see how it does look like actually. Yeah, it's okay. I think it's too dense. Yeah, I think it's too dense, so what we're gonna do is drop the density. Actually, I have a better idea. Maybe we're gonna add a color ramp, stick it to the density here, and then I'm gonna add a noise texture and feed it there. And what I want to see now is I'm gonna isolate this object here, our volume scatter. I'm gonna isolate it and take a look at how it does look like. What we're gonna do is add this kind of things. So as you can see here, we have this misty, foggy effect using the noise. We can get higher size, like 10, and add more details, 16. Oops. 1, 16. And as you can see here, if you add some distortion there, we're gonna have some really cool effects. Smoky effects again. No. I don't want it to be too much dense also, so I avoid the playing in wide values. Yes, we can try and see if that adds something to our scene. I'm not that sure, but let's take a look at what it gives us once everything is rendered. So here is the render result, and as you can see, it's looking pretty cool. I really like the effect that or the mood that we are making so far, and you can see all of the evolution of our scene from start to finish. We've started with something like so, and we've gradually enhanced it to have something more appealing and more poetic as it was previously planned. So what's the idea now is we simply need to render this image out in a higher resolution and add some sampling here, render sampling, maybe pop it to like 128. I don't really mess a lot with the settings because they work fine. I don't go to crazy render samples here because I see a lot of people going to 1100 or 1000. I never had to go that high, and what I usually do is go with a 2K resolution or 4K resolution, and that's it. And what I do is I do all my work in 4K resolution and then scale down the whole image, so we lose all of these noisy things here, because usually they're like 1 or 2 pixels wide, and we simply get rid of them by doing so. In the sampling, maybe I'm gonna go again a little bit higher, like 65 maximum. I think it's gonna be really good. So I'm gonna make the render and see you in the next part in GIMP.